it's Rachel. I'm going to do a quick tour of our seed starting area and our setup, and then show how I start in soil blocks from seed. Talk a little bit about why you should think about doing the same. But mainly I'm going to make a case that no one needs to buy super expensive grow lights. I think people can get quickly led into this philosophy that you need really expensive equipment to do this, and you don't. I think it's better to start really inexpensive and see if you like starting from seed, because frankly there's no shame in buying transplants. It's just cheaper to start from seed. We are using standard 48-inch shop lights, simple T8 light fixtures you can use in any garage, and each of them is fitted with 2 fluorescent bulbs, one cool white and one warm white, and so together those give a nice broad spectrum of light without buying the expensive lights. They are 48 inches long. We are using plastic shelves we already had on hand. Those shelves are less than 48 inches long, so we had to use some chain and some S-hooks to make these cantilever off the end, but no one died. This is all super cheap. It's, you know, simple shop fixtures, it's fluorescent lights, it's shelving we already had. I start in 1/2 worm castings, 1/2 coconut coir. It's super cheap. So the worm castings are done with kitchen scraps. So that part's literally free. They can have for bedding things like junk mail that you shred up and put in there. Again, free resource. The other half is this coconut coir, which I will try and show. You can buy a 10-pound block of this coconut coir, 25 bucks I think. I get enough coconut coir out of that to do my entire growing season. And then the other key piece of equipment, sorry it's dirty, is my soil blocker. Again, you don't have to invest in anything fancy. I think the least expensive one on Amazon was what I ended up buying. It's like $35, $40. I've had it multiple years, and you can get soil blocks out of this over and over and over again. So again, the cost of starting from seed versus buying a transplant, this stuff pays for itself really, really quickly. I will say the one place that we did invest is in the trays. Bootstrap Farmer, this isn't affiliated or sponsored or anything. We just really like these trays. They hold up really well. It allows for bottom watering, which is really, really nice when you're starting seeds, so you're not pouring water from above and potentially like blasting your soil blocks. Here are how these cheap ingredients come together to form something magical. I have 1 tray worth of worm castings in this tub, and I will add in a roughly equal proportion of the coconut coir, work that together a bit with a trowel, and then come back through with my hands to mix it together. It's a good opportunity to make sure you have the texture you want, as well as, frankly, just to check for any orphaned worms that got left behind. I then add water to this, just enough to get it to hold together, and I will keep working that again with the trowel, and you'll get a feel over time for how much water you need in order for this mixture to hold together properly. Go in with my soil blocker and really pack this down. The goal is to get a nice firm block of this mixture inside of my soil blocker. If you see that it's falling out, you don't have enough water in the mix. If you see that water is squishing out of the bottom, you have too much water in the mix. And in general, my goal is just to pack it firmly, scrape the bottom, and then I usually go back through one more time, like you're seeing here, to just make sure it's all flat on the bottom. Press down on the handle to release, and you're good. You've got 4 soil blocks. I just then keep on going until my tray is full. I find that I can usually get about 8 rows of 4 into one of these 10-20 trays. This particular soil blocker leaves a nice indentation in the middle for your seeds. I will put 2, sometimes 3 per hole, more if they're tiny. I then go through and mist with water to make sure that I get a nice moist environment for germination, and then just use a plain mechanical pencil to lightly push the edges of those holes in. You're not trying to bury these and press down. It's really just about covering them lightly with the soil. A little bit of air is actually good in there. And then one more misting with water to make sure that the top is moist and covers the seeds well. I bottom water as mentioned, and then cover the whole thing with a humidity dome. This is my first batch of seeds. So this was my Solanaceae family. These guys are all tomatoes. I already thinned down to 1 seedling. Not sure what's happening with this dude. And then these are the peppers that have not yet come up. I've got a humidity dome. You don't need one of these for every tray because you really only need to use these humidity domes right at the beginning when you get the seed started. Once these peppers come up, I will take this dome off. And by the time I need it for another set of seedlings, this one will be done. Did invest in a heating mat. I mean, this is, I think, $13 for the dome. The heating mat is like 14. So none of these are really, really expensive, and you really don't need a lot of them. I will no longer need it once they germinate, at which point in a few weeks I can use it underneath my squash and my basil and things like that as I'm starting those seeds. You don't need to buy a lot of them, is kind of the key point here. It works really well for me. I start dozens of seeds this way every year. At some point I might invest in LED bulbs because they'll last longer and I'll get more for my money in the long run. But I'm gonna get a lot of useful life out of these T8 fluorescents until then. Hope that was helpful. I hope it inspires you to be as cheap as I am. If you've got any tips on seed starting or questions, anything you want to share in the comment section, please do that. Our next video will be on our cover crop and how I put that in and how that's working for us. I'm trying to get that going in the garden outside right now. And we're going to keep posting different videos every week as we get going into the growing season. So stick with us, and I hope to be as helpful as possible to everybody as we go through the growing season this year. Thanks.